Today is Friday, June 11th. What to know about the current American president and British Prime Minister stepping into the shoes of FDR and Churchill. They revised a historic charter for a new era. Also, the latest COVID-19 variant in the U.S., why some experts are worried, but some aren't. Plus, where scientists are recognizing a new ocean, how a big tennis rivalry is breaking a record today, and why a young boy decided to sell his most prized possession, warming hearts all around the country. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in about 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Lacey Evans, filling in for Erica Mandy during her maternity leave. You ready? Let's do this. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill have been working to come up with a compromise on an infrastructure package. And now, a group of both Republican and Democratic senators say they've made a deal. They haven't released all the details yet, but they say it focuses just on physical infrastructure, like roads, rails, and bridges. And unlike the plan President Biden has been pushing for, this one wouldn't need any new tax increases to pay for it. Several news outlets are citing sources who say it would cost about $1.2 trillion over 8 years. So far, it's not clear exactly where that money is going to come from, but there's still a long ways to go. For the senators to make this proposal a law, they will need to win support from a lot more lawmakers and the White House. In the past, President Biden and some Democrats have called for a much larger package, but some Republicans say they want one that's even smaller than the senators' compromise. For now, though, top congressional leaders and White House spokespeople say they're open to the new proposal. They'll just have to read through all the details first to know for sure. And a bipartisan group of House lawmakers is working on a proposal too, so expect to hear a lot more about this in the weeks to come. President Biden and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson had their first face-to-face meeting, and together they signed an updated version of the historic Atlantic Charter. The original was signed in 1941 by then-President Franklin Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. That one was a blueprint for coming out of World War II, and it laid out some principles both countries shared. Well, 80 years later, the new one lays out some more modern commitments. For example, the countries promised to cooperate on things like climate change and technology, and they both reaffirmed their support for the NATO alliance. On top of that charter, both leaders also spoke about moving past the COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister Johnson says he expects the Group of Seven, or G7, will be donating a total of 1 billion vaccine doses to the rest of the world. Remember, the G7 includes the wealthy countries of the US, Japan, Germany, France, Italy, the UK, and Canada. Already, we know half of the donated shots will come from the U.S., another 100 million from the U.K. The G7 leaders have been facing pressure to share vaccines with poorer countries that have only vaccinated a small percentage of their population so far. The World Health Organization has said the pandemic will only end once all countries have been vaccinated, so the virus won't keep moving and mutating. Americans have already been making big progress against COVID-19. Here in the U.S., deaths from the coronavirus have dropped 90% since a peak in January, but there are still hundreds of Americans dying from the virus every day. Experts say those numbers are driven by people who aren't vaccinated. They're trending younger, too. At the start of the year, the majority of American deaths were people over 75 years old, but that age group was the first to be vaccinated. So now, CDC data shows middle-aged Americans make up a much bigger portion of the death rate. By the way, there's another reason experts say it's crucial more people of all ages get their vaccines. That's the Delta variant, which has been powering the huge outbreaks in India the last couple months. The CDC says that strain now makes up more than 6% of all COVID-19 infections in the U.S. And this one is especially concerning since it seems to be the most contagious variant detected so far. There's also some evidence it causes more severe disease, but researchers are still studying before they'll say that for sure. The good news is not everyone needs to worry about it. The vaccines already on the market in the U.S. do seem to be working against it. And so far, more than half of Americans over the age of 12 have been fully vaccinated. COVID-19 isn't the only serious public health threat the CDC is watching these days. This week, the Federal Health Agency released a report that says many American kids are now behind on their routine childhood shots. We're talking about the vaccines they get for things like measles and whooping cough. So now, both the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics are calling on parents to get their children up to date on those shots before school starts in the fall. Both groups say they think parents have just been putting off the appointments because they didn't want to go into doctors' offices during the pandemic. But now, since more places are opening back up, experts say they worry about new outbreaks spreading of diseases like measles. So before truly coming out of lockdown mode, kids need to be protected. More news is just ahead, but first, here's your main host, Erica Mandy, with a word about today's sponsor, BetterHelp.
If there is anything that stops you from being your best and happiest self, why not fix that? It's sometimes tough for us to recognize on our own what might be holding us back, but a professional can help you identify it and move past it. BetterHelp is a great way to connect with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment, so it's convenient, confidential, and affordable. And their licensed counselors specialize in everything from grief to self-esteem to family conflicts and much more. Plus, you can communicate with them in whatever way works best for you. Text, chat, phone, and video, all from the comfort of your own home. If you've ever worried about the cost of traditional offline counseling, BetterHelp is more affordable and financial aid is available. In fact, as a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/newsworthy. I want you to start living a happier life today. So join more than 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Go to BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, betterhelp.com/newsworthy.
One of the largest video game companies in the world was hacked this week. Electronic Arts, best known for the EA Sports game collection, says hackers broke into its online networks and stole gaming source code and gaming tools. Luckily, it says it doesn't look like the hackers targeted player information, though, and this was not a ransomware attack. Electronic Arts has already beefed up its online security, and it's working with law enforcement to figure out who the hackers are. And they may already have a hint. As Ars Technica reports, an online account with the name Leakbook posted about the stolen data on an underground crime forum this week and was offering to sell it. Forget what you learned in school. Most of the world, including the U.S., now says there are 5 oceans in the world. Historically, there were only 4, the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Arctic. Well, now you can add the Southern Ocean to that list. That's the body of water surrounding Antarctica. And as of this week, it's being officially identified on maps. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, says it has recognized this 5th ocean for more than 20 years. But scientists disagreed about what to name it or where to map the boundaries until recently. And it's important. As a National Geographic explorer explains, it connects the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans. And you might hear about it more, especially on the topic of climate change, since the Southern Ocean helps to control climates all over the world. You might expect a lot of invitations in the mail soon. It's about to be a super busy wedding season in the U.S. There are the people who delayed getting married last year because of COVID-19. Others did get legally married, but are now looking to have a big reception. And then there are those who are just recently engaged. So the AP reports vendors, venues, and wedding planners are seeing a boom in demand right now, with some now booking up all the way into 2023. And they're seeing some new trends. The vice president of David's Bridal says up to 90% of brides want outdoor venues because there are fewer restrictions. She also said more people are booking weekday weddings because weekend dates are too hard to come by. The weddings are getting bigger, too. After a year of elopements, micro-weddings, and virtual ceremonies, people now seem to be going the opposite direction. One vendor in Austin, Texas says he's seen most guest lists between 150 to 300 people. 2 of the best tennis players in the world will duke it out at the French Open today. Top-ranked Novak Djokovic faces defending champ Rafael Nadal. This will be the 58th matchup between Nadal and Djokovic. That's the most matches ever between 2 tennis pros on the men's side. But today's match isn't the final. This is just the semis. The winner will play for the championship on Sunday against the person who wins another semifinal today. Neither of those players has ever won a Grand Slam or been to a French Open final. As for the women's side, the final match is already set. The championship is between 2 underdogs, Barbora Krejcikova from the Czech Republic and Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova from Russia. Both women were seated below the 30th spot at the start of the French Open, but they seem to have defied all odds to make it to the final. Their championship match is set for tomorrow morning. That's it for the main news today, but now it's time for Feel Good Friday, where we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, this episode is brought to you by FrameBridge. Here's Erica again to explain what it is.
I'll admit it, I'm not always the best at knowing how to decorate, but once I have that completed, beautiful space, I love it. And thanks to FrameBridge, I love our new nursery. They helped me find the perfect frames for 3 different photos and made the process so quick and easy. I'll definitely be using FrameBridge again for unique, thoughtful gifts. In fact, you can upload your photo and order by Tuesday, June 15th to get guaranteed free delivery in time for Father's Day. You simply go to framebridge.com and upload your photo, preview your item online in any frame style. The expert team at FrameBridge will custom frame your item and deliver your finished piece straight to you. Or they can deliver to Dad in time for Father's Day when you place your order by Tuesday, June 15th. Instead of the hundreds you'd pay at a traditional framing store, their prices actually start at just $39 and all shipping is free. Order a custom gift for any dad in your life in minutes. Go to framebridge.com and use the promo code Newsworthy to save an additional 15% off your first order. Go to framebridge.com with the code Newsworthy. You'll love it. Framebridge.com with the code Newsworthy.
Now back to Feel Good Friday. A young boy in Virginia named Bryson has inspired a lot of people for his efforts to save his dog's life. His puppy, named Bruce, was diagnosed with a virus that, if untreated, could be deadly. But the medical bills were more than what the family could afford. So Bryson decided to sell his prized Pokemon collection to help out. He set up a table in his front yard in early May and started selling Pokemon cards for about $5 a piece. Bryson's mom posted a picture of him on a local Facebook group, and the community responded in a big way. She told the Washington Post more people started dropping by Bryson's stand to donate cash, and others reached out online to donate more. Overall, hundreds of people have raised more than $22,000 to help Bryson and his dog. That was far more than what they needed. So the family is donating the extra funds to help out other pet owners in similar situations. As for their dog, Bruce is now on the mend and doing much better. And that's your Feel Good Friday. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with our special edition Saturday episode tomorrow. We're talking about a movie theater comeback in the new age of streaming and what to expect from the big summer blockbusters. Then we'll have your next news roundup on Monday. Until then, have a great day.